now this is what we're doing. So I'm actually, Kiva, which is pretty cool, is I'm live streaming on Facebook. I'm recording, and now I'm live streaming on YouTube all at the same time. Pretty wild stuff, huh? So tonight is basically testing out a lot of different things, working it out, seeing what I can do, what I can't do with the Createx illustration paints. That's Drew Blair's, right? Those are pretty good. How do you like the reducer on that? What are your thoughts, Kiva? So just bear with me one moment. So pretty cool. So guys, I am actually live on Facebook and live on YouTube at the same time. And I actually go live on Twitch, but I think I'm pushing it if I do that. But this is a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. Okay, so pretty cool. I'm actually monitoring YouTube, monitoring Facebook. Wow, gigantic. That's right. You're a muralist. So you're working like Diego Rivera, Siqueiros, those guys, those Mexican muralists, which I love. Those guys are fantastic. Now, what's interesting about this particular pose? Hey, Johnny, how's it going? So what's interesting about this particular pose is the hair that's sort of in front of her eyes and on top of her nose area. So that's something that I'm going to explore. So what's really cool is, I think, let's go ahead and maybe zoom in on that. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're just going to clean this up. It's a very interesting part of the pose, but it's also something that has to be addressed in the early going. I can't worry about that later. I have to worry about it now. So once again, I'm using the 0.3. Now, Kiva, when we're doing the live streams every Wednesday night, we're doing drawing. So I haven't even shown the 0.3. I only showed the 0.5. Ah, no problem, Kiva. You know, stick with me. Eventually you're gonna know all this stuff. It is fun doing the tech stuff. But it makes me feel good that I'm doing, you know, really good quality live streams, because I think they're probably one of the best teaching methods out there. You know, Kiva, I was classically trained in oils, but life sort of made me work in different mediums. And what happened was, I was trained, I would say, about maybe 3 years of working just in oils in a certain studio at the Art Students League and at the High School of Art and Design. And I worked with some pretty big shot oil painters, and I was getting pretty good, pretty well versed in the medium. However, I got into a class by Harvey Dinnerstein. I was actually in his studio. I studied with him for 3 years. And one day I was reading Harvey's book. He wrote a book at the time. And he was one of the few artists back then who actually used pastel as a finished painting medium. Everyone else used it as preparatory studies, and if they did use pastels, they were horrible. And so I was looking at these painting in his book. So the next day I go to his class and I says, Harvey, this is really incredible. I never knew pastels could do this. So he basically said, okay, when you come back from winter break, we're going to do pastels. And back then, nobody was doing pastels. There was no pastel society. I think there was a Pastel Society of America. There wasn't many people doing it. Realism wasn't all that in vogue back then in the 80s. So, and I started working in pastels with Harvey, and I never looked back, and I really never worked in oils since then. But yeah, I mean, I know how to work in oils. I can teach it. But right now, other mediums sort of take its place. I think oil paints have this air about it where it's a serious, more serious painting medium, and that is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Yes, those are soft pastels, definitely. Not the oil pastels. The oil pastels are totally different. The soft pastels, yes. So started working in pastels, and I actually got a scholarship at the Academy with my pastels. I got a merit scholarship and won several awards, became a signature member of the Pastel Society of America. So that's really my medium. Airbrush is something I just started maybe about 5-6 years ago, and I love it, but I'm actually more well known for my pastels than anything else. Wow, for 15 years. Well, that's cool. That is great, though. I'm glad to hear you're branching out, but how cool that you are an oil painter. And I know oils is a great medium because it helps all other mediums. So if you're doing airbrush, it definitely helps. You're doing pastel, it definitely helps. One of the things a teacher said to me not too long ago was that if you master one medium, all other mediums will be much easier to master. And that is the truest statement ever. It really is important. So guys, don't go away. I need to excuse myself for just a few moments. Let's see here. So give me like 5 minutes, maybe less, and this way I'll be right back. Okay? Thanks so much. Okay, that wasn't too bad, so thanks for waiting for me. Okay. Okay, so is everyone still out there? Let's see. So I had to use the little boy's room, so I was as fast as possible. You know, Kiva, watercolor is a very good... Hey, Christian, Brian, have a great night. So as you can see, I'm working on this little bit of hair that comes out here in front of her nose. Watercolor is a tough medium. That is true. I was never actually taught watercolor. It's something I sort of worked on my own. But yeah, it's very unforgiving. It's something that you really have to paint like several steps ahead, like I do here, but like more on the fly. Those watercolorists, they have to know exactly what the paint's going to do even before it's going to happen, right? It's really cool, but it's a rough medium. I agree. This is so interesting right here. There's these little hairs that come right here, 2 hairs. So I'm going to make the decision whether or not I'm going to paint them in later or I'm going to paint them in now. So right now I think my decision is probably going to be I'm going to paint them in later. So I'm just going to erase this. 2 reasons why. It's going to be really hard to frisket that, right? And not only that, but I'm going to miss the really soft gradations of shadow going underneath those hairs. So my thinking is if I paint the shadows and the gradations of the shadows in the light, then when I go over with the hair, it's going to look that much better, right? Hey Ryan, how you doing? Good to see you, man. So definitely I'm thinking in the future it's going to be a lot easier to paint those hairs coming this way as opposed to you know, drawing it out and then have to paint around it. It's just not going to be as effective. So right now I'm on YouTube and I don't have anyone talking there. You know what's really good? Twitch. That's really, really cool. Oh man, I hope everything okay? Sorry about that, Ryan. That's horrible. Now there's some really beautiful things happening with right here. curls within her hair. And I'm going to actually just do some really quick indications, but I'm going to worry about that later. I definitely don't want to paint every hair. What I want to do is I want to simplify down the line. Much better. And then speaking of simplification, let's go ahead and move down to this part of her hair. I think I'm really happy with the way the drawing's coming. This way I know that the drawing is mine, that it's my handwriting, so to speak. And then I'm confident, so when I'm using the airbrush for the underpainting with the India ink, and also for the acrylic paint that I'm going over it, that I'm happy I'm not going to have to make any changes with the contour, that the drawing is sound. You could, Ryan, definitely. You have a lot of talent, man. Yes, definitely. You did the right thing, Ryan. That's for sure. Yeah, you know, God forbid if there was a fight, cops will take you in and ask questions later. So you did the right thing by all. Hey, Bill, how's it going? Well, it's always good to practice drawing, right? That's always important. Drawing is everything. Now, what I did with this is that I did project her to get the placement, and then I'm just drawing it out. But I draw freehand all the time in my sketchbook, and always keep that going, because that's going to help you with your projections, with everything. When you paint, it's going to help you to see better. Yeah, drawing is... I love what Angara said. He said to draw even when you don't have a pencil. Now there's a lot of curly cues and stuff over here. I'm going to worry about that later. I'm going to do that with a liner brush at the very end of the painting. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool if you're able to take Drew's class, Kiva. That would be incredible. So what I'm working on right now, this outer contour, what I'm thinking about is how I'm going to apply the Frisket. So that's why I'm simplifying and not doing all the stray hairs. That comes down later. Right now I'm worrying about the large shapes, that I'll be able to go ahead and frisk it and then do the rest later down the line. So there's a lot of thought processes going. True, that is, you know, when it comes to paid jobs, you definitely, time is a factor, Bill. So yeah, I mean, all the artists, great artists in the world, use some sort of projection to get things done quickly. So there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Oh, that would be cool, Kiva. Wouldn't that be great? And with hair, you don't got to be too exact as far as what's going, but you want to have a general idea of what your block-in will be. And there's going to be a lot of fun. You know, her hair is very complicated here, but we're not gonna paint every hair, that's for sure. My whole thinking is to you know, look at different painters in history and see how they handled hair. They simplified it. John Singer Sargent, Rembrandt, Vermeer. They didn't paint, they just indicated. And I think what you leave out is just as important as what you paint. I like that one airbrush painting you did, Kiva. The one, you know, with the eye. That was fantastic. Yep, I agree, Bill. Definitely. Same thing, you know. It doesn't matter what stage you're at, it's just what direction you're going. That's what's important. You're on the right path. Now, what I'm going to do is sort of do some quick indications of hair direction. And this will help me when I'm going to be working on the hair later down the line. But just very quick indications of hair direction. And I think I'll be able to do that actually in the underpainting stage, which will be pretty cool. I'm going to get out the aggressive eraser and see if I have one here. Should have one here. I'll use this one here. I just want to clean this up. So basically what I'm going to do is, this is pretty much my setup when I'm going into India ink. So So as you guys can see, guys and girls can see, so that's pretty much what I'd like to be at. Of course, I can even go further, and you know, even if I went further, it wouldn't be bad. It's not detrimental. The more time you spend on this stage is always going to help you down the line. You know what? When you're improving, when you're learning new techniques, you're going to have some growing period that it is going to affect your work when you're experimenting, and it's not going to always, it will take like maybe your production level might go down a little bit because of it, but when you come out on the other side, it's going to be so much better. It really is. It's going to be so much better. So what my surface is masonite. Actually, this is hardboard. This particular one is 11 by 14 hardboard by Dick Blick. You can order that. I think it was like $6, $7. And then I used a mixture of acrylic waterproof gesso with water 1:1, and then a mixture of marble dust. And it actually creates a really nice surface to work on. It's not too slick, and it has a tooth, almost like the way watercolor paper does. So when I put the Frisket on there, it's not going to stick too much. It'll peel very easily. I can razor blade it. I could do a lot of different things. Wow, look at that, 7 portrait jobs. That's fantastic, man. Congratulations. Way to go, Bill. So this surface is really good. I could razor blade, sandpaper it. I could use watercolor on it. I can do palette knife. Just so many different things I can do with this surface. So it's much better than paper. I can change the texture by adding more marble dust or less marble dust. I could sand it down to make it smooth. So it's always best to learn how to make your own surface. So that's always incredible. Food is important, Bill. You know, I find that even though I ate earlier today, I'm going to be hungry later. So we're always going to need money for food, right? Oh, Kiva, so the marble dust is on blickart.com. And it's by Fredericks, and I believe I paid something like $8. You can also get it on Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, it was, I think, came out to $15, saves you a trip altogether. So if you don't want to go to the art store, it's sometimes better because you don't pay for shipping when you order at Amazon Prime. But if you don't have marble dust, if you can find it, back in the old days, painters, you know, house painters used to use powdered pumice, and they used to use that to wash their hands or use it to give texture to the paint. And that was great, but I can't find it anymore. But that gives the texture of what you're working on, like as if it was like bone. It's really beautiful. But that's almost impossible to find anymore. There was this old paint shop on Route 17 out here in Jersey, and I was able to procure everything they had, like 8, 9 boxes. So I was good for a good 3, 4 years, but now it's over. So I don't know if anyone is selling it. Yes, Kiva, definitely. And when you're ready, there is a video. Let me see if I can get that video. Actually, I have a video. I'm gonna IM it to you of my mixture. So that would help you when you're ready. So let me know when you're ready to make your first mixture of the marble dust with the gesso. And you have to use Dick Blick's acrylic waterproof gesso because it's thick. If you use anything else, even the most expensive like Golden or Liquitex, the gesso is way too thin and it's just horrible, and it doesn't create the surface that is inducive. Well, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. I enjoy your work too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That's encouraging. I tell you, back when I was going to art school, I wish there was something like this. I would have learned so much faster, guys. Man, it would have been just... Oh man, it would have been great. I had to wait for demonstrations at the Art Students League or the National Academy for people like Dinerstein or Ron Scher or David Leffel to do their demonstrations. Those demonstrations were packed, man. I mean, we're talking like standing room only. Sorry. You had to get there early if you didn't want to stand. But going to art school in the 80s and 90s was a lot of fun. Actually, I really only went in the late 80s. Only a little short time in the 90s I went. Soap erasers, yes. You can order them at blickart.com. They have them. So those are good. I think Staedtler makes them. So those are good. A lot of different erasers. So as you can see, I have what is called a cartoon. And what a cartoon is, and I was discussing this earlier in the live stream, a cartoon is something they used in the Renaissance time, which would be just sort of like an outline with pretty much landmarks of where everything is. And they would use it to transfer it onto the wall when they would do frescoes. So that's my thinking. So my next step is going to get a nice piece of Frisket. When I put my Frisket on, what I do, so who's one of the good guys out there, Ryan? So what I do is I'll take Frisket and make it a little bit bigger. So it's 11 by 14, so I'll do it by 12 by 15. So I'll just drape it over, make sure I get rid of any air pockets. Once that's done, what I do is I turn it around, and then so I'll have a razor blade, and then I'll just go ahead and cut off the excess Frisket, so on all sides, and then I have a perfect Frisket covering just my painting. That is the only and best way to apply Frisket. No other way is as good as that. And that is something that, you know, over the years. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you. I'm always trying to help everybody, you know, always trying to make everyone's paintings come out a little bit better, you know, just with little tips and tricks, right? That's why I love your, you know, your group on Facebook, Ryan, is that it's all very helpful. Now I do see that I can actually go ahead and maybe work on where her arm is, and if there's something I can do there. So let's take a look very quickly. I am going to, okay, yes. So right here, where her muscles, sort of her deltoid, sort of comes into her pectoral muscle here. So I definitely could work on that. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just work on that inner contour. So let's make that decision. This is my thinking. Let's make that decision now. as opposed to when I'm using the airbrush. When I don't want to be making drawing decisions, I want to make decisions of value and edges and that sort of thing. That is interesting. Yes, you have to find, there are rolls of Frisket. Let me show you one of the rolls of Frisket I have. And this one here, let's go here. So here's, oh, having a bad hair evening there. Okay, so right here you can see this is 24 inches and this is 24 inches and I think it's like several yards. This I actually got at, they don't sell anymore, AC Moore. They sell this and I believe it's, this usually retails about $30, $40, but they were liquidating and I got a whole bunch of it. So this is a good size. I use this when I'm working on big paintings. Larger paintings. There's also another size. Let me see if I can find that one. I'll be right back, so don't go away. I'm gonna get the other side. So isn't it cool when you find something right away, right? Usually I thought I'd be looking for it forever. So this is 12 inches. Is this 12 inches? No, this is actually 15 inches. So we have a roll of 15 inches that you can get. So definitely the 15 inches is the best because the 8 by 10, let's say if I'm working on this 11 by 14, that means I need 2 pieces of Frisket to cover it. That's just unacceptable. And I look at it this way: spend the money, get the Frisket when you can, and when you need it, it's there. When you have extra money, buy some Frisket, and this way, you know, you don't run out. So yeah, the little 8 by 10s, these Friskets are okay, but they're definitely not useful, only when you have very small work. So oh, so what's this here? It says so there's gold mask. So what is gold mask, Bill? That's actually pretty cool. I don't know about that. So transfer tape for most of your hand cut stuff. That's interesting. So that's pretty neat. And so do you use that as well, Ryan? Transfer tape? Hey, Vladimir, how you doing, sir? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Oh wow! So where would I be able to get this this stuff there, Bill? Would I have to go to, let's say, like a shop that sells aluminum panels, that sort of thing? Wow, I like the idea of no residue. That sounds pretty cool. Oh, sign supply shops, yes. There's one in my area, and now they want me to have like a tax ID number. I don't have a tax ID number because I'm an artist. But do you find that you're able to? Is there any places by you that you're able to do that? Maybe via mail, like by internet. Okay, cool. So I'm really happy with here, the way that is. So that I feel good to leave that there. So that's good. Oh yeah, that's cool. But you see that even though one may project or use cutouts from a photo or what have you, you still want to go over the contours. You want to have your handwriting involved. It's going to be so much better. It's going to be yours. Oh, thanks, Bill. I appreciate that. So sign warehouse. I'm definitely gonna. That's really great help, Bill. I appreciate that. Because I'd like to buy some aluminum panels. Because I can paint on aluminum, so that would be fun. And people love the fact that a painting is done on metal for some reason. It's different, right? So, Kiva, on that question, I'm going to leave that to the professionals, more like Bill. He would be able to tell you about that plotter. I'm not well versed in the plotter, that's for sure. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Bill. Thank you, sir. Now now there's a lot going on in the middle of here. And that I want to be careful that I at least pay some attention to what's going on there. That I know like where these two muscles meet, where the clavicle is, where the pectoral and the deltoid are all matching up. So, and also where are some of these hard edges. I don't want to make those decisions when I'm airbrushing. Oh wow, that's really cool. How do you cut that? That must be hard. So right here, there's a really nice shadow area. And like I said, you want to find the shape by going this way and that way, not by just going in one direction. It's easier to get lost going in one direction, but if you're going both ways, you find the correct line a lot easier. So, Bill, you find that a plotter is really helps a lot in your business? Wow, that's really cool. You must really have to really dig in there, right? Or no? right here on the clavicle, there's this landmark right here. So I want to definitely indicate that shape. And that's going to help down the line, making sure that the clavicle's in the right spot. Because if it's not, everything's going to fall apart. If the clavicle's too high or too low, everything's not going to match and she's going to look deformed. We don't want that. Wow, 4 passes, definitely. And so, you know, you definitely want to try and have almost a very precise line here. And that's going to help because when I'm going to go ahead and do the frisket, I'm going to know exactly where to cut. So I have my own approach, but what would your approach be? What my approach is that I'm going to frisket. I'm just going to put frisket over everything. And I'm going to cut her out, and then take off the frisket from her face and her body. Leave the hair, and leave the background. So once I finish doing the body, then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and lift the hair, cover the body and her face, and then put in the hair, and then lift it up, work on the bolt, and then at the very end lift the actual frisket on the background, then work on the hairs. What are some of the ways that would you do it the same way or would you do it differently? Wow, oh wow, that's pretty cool, Vlad. Is that's a program for plotters? Is that correct? It's nice. I have a lot of people, you know, watching this on Facebook, so I appreciate everybody hanging out and all the different topics going on. Bill, Vladimir, Kiva, Ryan, it's so cool. Now right here is interesting that there is where the trapezius, where the sternocleidomastoid muscle comes in here, there's this little dark sort of the indentation where her throat is. So let me very quickly indicate that. Because that's a shape that really needs to be on point. And it's a light colored shape, light value. It does. I do like using the frisket, you know, on the background because you get that beautiful hard edge. You can soften up here and there, Bill. I do work the loose when I'm doing those small, those tiny 4x6 black and white paintings in my sketchbook. You know, there's no way to frisk it on regular paper. So there is a certain charm to, you know, doing it the other way too. But this way, as you say, this is definitely a more accurate, thought out way. But both ways are cool. So, so everybody, really cool to hang out and talk about art and learn about stuff. Bill, I'm going to let you know when I'm ready to get those aluminum panels. Thank you so much for that gracious offer there. I really appreciate that very much. Cool meeting you, Bill. So Vladimir, how you doing? Thanks so much from Serbia coming by. Ryan, everyone who stopped by. Remember, guys, on Wednesday, every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, I do live stream. It's for an hour between 9 and 10 on Wednesdays. So it's very cool, very informal. We just hang out and talk about art, and I just show some techniques. So I might go ahead and continue the drawing. If not, maybe I'll work on this, and I'll show you how I do the underpainting. So that would be a lot of fun. Kiva, I hope you have a great weekend. It's always great hanging out with you. Kiva, I see her on my live streams all the time. She's so cool. So Ryan, if you're there, everyone take care of yourselves. So I hope you have a great, well, it's Friday night, right? I hope you have a great weekend. Hope you're not working. If you are, I hope you're working on something fun. And thanks again, man. It's been great. This is a lot of great time just getting to meet everybody. So I really enjoyed it.